People often ask me, what the hell is a Yamabushi? What do Yamabushi actually do? But the only real way to truly understand what a Yamabushi is or what a Yamabushi does is to come and do Yamabushi training. That's the only way that you can actually learn to appreciate what it is that we do. But I understand this isn't exactly practical for a lot of people. So I've put together a few of my ideas of what it means to be a Yamabushi. The basic premise is that Yamabushi practice what's called Shugendo. And Shugendo is a door, a path or a way. Like Kendo is the path or the way of the sword. Judo is the path or the way of the passive. And then there's things like Sado, which is the way of tea or tea ceremony. And Kado, which is flower arrangement, the way of the flower. Shu is ascetic practice, and Gen is actually from the word Genriki, which means supernatural powers. So Shugendo is literally the path or the way of gaining supernatural powers through ascetic practice. And anyone who practices Shugendo is known as a Shugenja, so a practitioner of Shugen, or a Yamabushi, which is the more common name these days. Yama is the word for mountain in Japanese, and the bushi part comes from the word fuseru, which means to be on all fours. And this is because Yamabushi were found on the mountains of Japan on all fours. And so these days, it's more common that you'll see the word Yamabushi, but in the past they were also called Shugenja. It's important to note that my experience is limited to training with Dewa-sanzan Jinja, Dewa-sanzan Shrine, and under Master Hoshino. So I'm a Shinto Yamabushi, and Shinto Yamabushi they only exist on the Dewa-sanzan. That's Gasan behind me. And so this means that I'm extremely limited in my knowledge of Yamabushi stuff because Yamabushi were all over Japan, and each school or each sect has its own practices and rituals practiced for different reasons. And in my particular case, I only practice with Dewa-sanzan Shrine or Master Hoshino. So my experience is quite limited. So just bear that in mind. So I'm not actually allowed to give away too much about what we do while we're on the mountains. There are a few reasons for this. One is that I've been sworn to secrecy. So we like to keep it secret. We like to let only the people that do the training know what's involved. And the other point is that what we're practicing is actually, it's a time before we are born. Let me explain what that means. So when we do Yamabushi training, it's a training of rebirth. And to be able to be reborn, you first need to die. You need to pass away. And so we do a ritual. The first ritual that we do during the training is actually our own funeral. And this is like we're saying goodbye to our former selves so that we can greet our new selves when we finish the training. So we do a number of rituals while out on the mountains, and these rituals are all designed to train our soul. And this is symbolic of our time in the womb, actually. So Yamabushi consider the mountains the womb, the mother's womb. And so when we do the training, we're experiencing a time before we are actually born. So it's a time that we have no recollection of, and thus we cannot explain what happens during our training. There's no hard evidence of this, but it's believed that Yamabushi have been practicing on the Dewa-sanzan mountains for over 1400 years. And why do Yamabushi train on mountains? So mountains, or nature in general, is believed to hold these secrets of life. Secrets of life that are actually incomprehensible to humans. And so Yamabushi go out into the mountains and try and absorb these lessons through osmosis. So you know those big tapestries that they have with a Buddha, usually a Buddha in the center, and a whole lot of different things all around it. This is a mandala, and the Dewa-sanzan mountains are believed to have mandalas projected onto them. And so Yamabushi, we walk among the mountains, and then this knowledge comes into us through osmosis. So it's not something that can be learned. So you have to it's not something that can be taught, basically. It's all about sensing. It's all about putting yourself in nature and feeling. And that's how you can absorb or gain the lessons of Buddha. There are actually two main schools of Yamabushi on the Dewasanzan Mountains here in Yamagata. And Master Hoshino, he combined both. So it's Shinbutsu Shugyo. So it's a fusion of Shinto and Buddhism training that we do with Master Hoshino. But with Dewasanzan Shrine, it's Shinto strictly. And the Dewasanzan Shrine training, so if you do that training, or if you do the one through Shozen Kogane-do, you receive a Yamabushi name. So you have to complete the training, of course, but if you do that, then you become an official Yamabushi. If you want to learn a little bit more about the history of this, I made a video about it a few years back now, but it's about why Japanese people can be Shinto and Buddhist at the same time. So I first completed that in 2017, so that's when I became an official Yamabushi, and that's when I received my Yamabushi name as well. So my Yamabushi name is Ryosen, which means the spreader of the essence, or the truth. And so I'm very proud to have received that name. And I've done the Akinomine, the Autumn's Peak ritual. I've done that twice now. So once you've done the Autumn's Peak ritual once, you're officially a Yamabushi. And the expectation is quite loose. So you're kind of expected to come back and do it every year, but you don't really have to. You can practice being a Yamabushi in your own way. So going out into nature and praying and things like that. And so I've also developed my own way of doing Yamabushi. I think you can't really call it Yamabushi training, what I'm doing, but I still like to come out to places like this. This is Mount Taizo-san in Sakata City. And I like to go and pray to the mountain, the kami and the Buddha of the mountain. And so, yeah, that's one way that I practice being Yamabushi. It's about getting out into nature and just sensing, feeling nature and getting the wisdom from nature. And also respecting nature. So paying your respects to nature. So praying to the shrines or the mountains even. So the mountain itself is a kami as well. So I can't tell you exactly what we do on the mountains, but there are a few things that you can see from the outside. One is that we walk extensively out in nature. As I said, so nature is the womb, the mother's womb. So we walk extensively out in nature, and we keep quiet as we do so. This is to absorb the lessons of nature, to better absorb the lessons of nature. And we would visit these haisho, what are called haisho, which is literally a place of prayer. It's the other way around, so it's prayer place. So we go to these haisho and we pray to the kami and the Buddha, and we pray for things like, it could be something extremely specific, like the health and safety of the people on this particular training, or maybe the health and safety of their families. But we also pray for much grander things, for example, a good harvest. So that's a pretty big role for Yamabushi, is to pray for food, basically, to allow us to survive. And another one is world peace as well. Waterfall meditation is another one that comes up quite a lot. And waterfall meditation is one of the best ways to truly get in touch with nature. It's quite harrowing if you're not used to it, but if you are able to get through it, which you are able to, it's a little bit of a mindset kind of thing. But if you are able to get through it, it shows you just how resilient you can be. And this for me is extremely practical in our everyday lives as well. So I hope this video answered a few of your questions about Yamabushi, and I also hope that I've piqued your interest. And so you can find out a little bit more about Yamabushi on my website, timbunting.com, or you can come and experience Yamabushi training for yourself. Just visit yamabushido.jp. I'm Tim Bunting, the Kiwi Yamabushi. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ka kite ano.